So, here is something most of crypto missed. The man who wrote the global blockchain interoperability standard at the International Organization for Standardization has spent the last 12 months putting his technology inside 6 UK banks, the Bank of England's renewed settlement system, and the European Central Bank's digital euro pilot. His name is Gilbert Verdian. The company is Quant Network. And no, this is not a price video. This is how a British civil servant who read the Bitcoin whitepaper inside HM Treasury in 2009 built the plumbing institutional finance is now running on. So before any of the bank deals, you have to understand where Gilbert Verdian comes from. This is not a Silicon Valley founder story. He was born in Australia, earned his MBA at the University of Technology, Sydney, then spent over 20 years in enterprise cybersecurity. Government side, he was Deputy CTO at HM Treasury, plus roles at Downing Street, Cabinet Office, Ministry of Justice, and CISO of NSW Health back in Australia. Private side, MasterCard, Vocalink, EY, PwC, BP, HSBC. So when he says he understands financial infrastructure, yeah, he actually does. And here is the moment that matters. In 2009, sitting inside HM Treasury, he reads the Bitcoin white paper. His take, verbatim from his own slides. It will not have any material impact on the UK economy, but it is really cryptography. By 2013, he is already thinking about how to make blockchains compatible with ISO 20022, the messaging standard the entire global banking system runs on. That is the seed, not a token, a standard. Now the company itself. According to Companies House, the entity we now know as Quant Network was incorporated on September 28, 2015, under the name Remit Limited. Co-founding director was an Australian named Sassoon Gregorian. The name change to Quant Network happened June 2, 2017. In 2016, Colin Patterson joins as CTO, also ex-Vocalink, and Dr. Paolo Tasca from the UCL Center for Blockchain Technology comes in as co-founder. So by 2017, you have a former HM Treasury Deputy CTO, a Vocalink engineer, and an academic blockchain economist running it. Okay, so here's the part almost everyone outside standards bodies completely misses. While Verdian is still building the company, he proposes the UK create a national committee for blockchain at the British Standards Institution. They say yes. Then he takes it international, and in October 2016, ISO formally approves what is now ISO Technical Committee 307, the actual global standards body for blockchain and distributed ledger technology. The inaugural plenary is held in Sydney, April 2017. And here's the detail nobody gets right. The Secretariat of ISO TC 307 is not in London. It is at Standards Australia, downstream of Verdian's NSW Health work. So, an Australian-born British executive convening the global blockchain standard with the Secretariat in Sydney. It grew from 5 countries to over 35 today, plus the European Commission. ISO 22739 on vocabulary. ISO 23257 on reference architecture. Standards on smart contracts, taxonomy, governance, privacy, the full stack. And here is what should really land. Verdian holds 3 credentials inside this ecosystem. Convener of Working Group 7 on Interoperability at ISO TC 307. Chair of the UK National Mirror Committee at the BSI, and ISO Liaison for INATBA, based in Brussels. So, when Layer 0 or Chainlink CCIP or Cosmos IBC talk about cross-chain standards, they will eventually have to map their designs against the rulebook Verdian's working group is writing. He has a phrase for all of this, the Internet of Trust. He coined it during his NSW Health days, when he saw that what really mattered was building a trust layer across networks, the same way TCP/IP built a data layer. All right, so the actual technology. Overledger is not a blockchain. I know that sounds strange, but stay with me. It is more like an operating system that sits above existing blockchains. Verdian modeled it on TCP/IP, so Overledger has 4 layers. The transaction layer reads from each underlying ledger. The messaging layer abstracts everything into a shared channel. The filtering and ordering layer orders messages across chains. And the application layer is where the multi-chain business logic lives. That last bit is what they call an MDAP, a single piece of business logic that reads and writes across many chains in one operation. Here is the design choice people miss. Overledger has no consensus protocol of its own, no validators, no relay chain like Polkadot, no light client bridge like Cosmos IBC, no Oracle network like Chainlink CCIP. Trust inherits from each underlying ledger. Cross-chain atomicity comes from two-phase commit plus hashed time lock contracts. Over 45 public and private blockchains supported: Bitcoin, Ethereum, the XRP ledger, Stellar, Corda, Hyperledger, Polygon, Avalanche. The intellectual property side is what makes Quant different. In December 2023, the U.S. Patent Office granted U.S. Patent 11.8423335B2, titled Blockchain Communications and Ordering. The same family is also granted in Europe and Japan, 3 jurisdictions covering the core cross-chain ordering design. On top of that, there is TrustTag, a chain-agnostic tokenization framework Colin Patterson conceived in 2011, before Ethereum existed, to fight counterfeiting in pharmaceuticals. And on the token side, QNT has a fixed supply of about 14.6 million, no inflation by design. The utility model is called mapped asset pricing. Enterprises pay license fees in fiat. The Treasury converts that to QNT at spot, locks it for 12 months, then returns it. Built for bank procurement, not retail speculation. Okay, so this is where things accelerated. If you were not watching the institutional press the last 12 months, you missed it. In May 2025, the European Central Bank announces its digital euro pioneer partners. Quant is on the list, on the conditional payments workstream. 2 weeks later, Quant launches QuantFlow and PayScript, a programmable money domain-specific language. Banks can now embed trigger-based logic directly into accounts. Then, September 29th, QuantNet launches, the world's first programmable settlement network. Banks keep custody. It connects tokenized deposits, bank stablecoins, HSBC Orion, Euroclear, and legacy systems like CHAPS, all under one rail. ISO 20022 native. 2 weeks later, on Quant's 10th anniversary, they launch Quant Fusion, the multi-ledger rollup. They call it Layer 2.5. Native assets, no wrap tokens, across Ethereum, Hyperledger, and Corda in one rollup. Now the UK banking side. UK Finance runs the Great British Tokenized Deposit Pilot, GBTD for short. Phase 2 completes mid-2026. The 6 named banks, Barclays, HSBC, Lloyds, NatWest, Nationwide, Santander. 3 live use cases: peer-to-peer payments, remortgaging, digital asset settlement. Quant is the orchestration and API layer underneath all of it. February 2026, the Bank of England selects 18 organizations for its Synchronisation lab, testing how external ledgers connect into the renewed RT2 system, which moves around £371 billion every working day. Quant is one of the 18, and it keeps going. March 25th, Quant signs Murex, the capital market stack serving over 250 banks globally. April 4th, Swift completes integration testing for Quant as an ISO 20022 interoperability layer. April 22nd, Verdian sits on the Multi-Moneyverse panel at the Innovate Finance Global Summit in London, alongside Victoria Cleland, the chief cashier of the Bank of England. Zoom out. Quant was also the technology vendor for Project Rosalind in 2023 with the BIS, live on LAC chain across 12 Latin American countries since 2021, and Dentsu Soken in January for Japan. So where is all this going? Verdian calls it the Internet of Trust. The way TCP/IP gave computers a common protocol for moving data, blockchain interoperability standards plus programmable money give institutions a common protocol for moving value. And after the United States passed the Genius Act in July 2025, Verdian made the analogy explicit. He said the same happened with the birth of the Internet. The Department of Defense mandated TCP/IP from January 1st, 1983. So, Genius, the UK Property Digital Assets Act, MICA in the EU, he sees those as the regulatory TCP/IP mandate moment. And in April, at the Innovate Finance panel, Verdian put it in plain English. He said, "I think money should be working for us. We need to automate money. Just sort my bills out, make my payments," and it does it. On the bank rails, the Bank of England's renewed RT2 settlement system actually went live April 28, 2025. And the Bank of England's stated ambition is near 24/7 RTGS by the turn of the decade. The synchronization lab Quant is in right now is the pilot phase of that future. Now, to be clear, nothing here is a price prediction. The QNT token has a fixed supply and a license fee model. The story is the rails. 6 UK banks, 2 central banks, 12 LATAM nations, the world's largest capital markets back office vendor, and Swift, all running pilots, integrations, or active deployments. And the person convening it all is the same person who wrote the global blockchain standard at the International Organization for Standardization. So here's the thing about Quant Network that most of crypto Twitter has just missed. The token never had a meme cycle. And yet, while everybody was watching elsewhere, Gilbert Verdian was doing 2 things at once: writing the global rulebook at the International Organization for Standardization and selling the implementation to the banks that will eventually have to comply with it. Standards plus patents plus bank contracts, played out in slow motion for 10 years, right out in the open, and almost nobody noticed. So look, if this was useful, hit subscribe so you do not miss the next 101. Drop a comment telling me which institutional rail you want me to break down next. And the full research blog on Notion is in the description. Until next time, stay informed.